Boy.
Amino coffee spiked.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, I need to put some Kahlua in this motherfucker.
Yeah, you need to put a little cocaine in there.
Yeah, I don't know what that feels like.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Business and Biceps. And you better wake your ass up, because on today's show, we're going to talk about leverage. When do you have it? When do you not have it? Do you think you got it, but you don't? Do you not use it properly? I just think it's an interesting conversation that a lot of motherfuckers just strike out and miss at, John.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah. I think if you are embarking on a new career, if you're young in business, just like our listener base, right? I'm speaking straight to the listener base. You need to have a leveraged position to make asks. And what I see a lot of younger people doing is they make asks, but there's nothing behind it, AKA they don't have leverage. So hopefully what we can do during this show is shed some light on how to attain leverage, define what leverage is in specific marketplaces, so people can understand kind of how to navigate them and when and where to make specific asks and actions.
I love it. And this is something that I think really isn't probably talked about. And it's like a true part of the chess game that motherfuckers just miss, Johnny. Like me and you have both seen it before. So I think this will be, and I don't know that we've ever really had this exact topic. So I'm kind of pumped to chat with you about it. I want to just point out that I got Amino coffee in my cup.
Very nice.
My drink, Johnny, from maxeffortmuscle.com.
I'm drinking some Max Effort Energy in my can. I pour it in my can.
And hey, listen, Johnny Fosco's got a new show, just dropped yesterday. Well, when you guys listen to this, it dropped on Tuesday. So John, why don't you give him a little quick background on the new show?
Yeah. So everybody who listens to this show knows I'm opinionated, right? And I like to, yeah, how about it? Oh, fuck. Breaking news. And I get very into, I love to understand why things are happening, how they're happening, the players that are involved. And when we talk about things like this is a business development show, that's what this is. And I have a strong interest, and my brain is always in places regarding politics and regarding, society and how it's moving and why it's moving. So because we don't want to, dilute business and biceps, Paul Pavlich, who's my co-host on the show, has been a longtime listener, has been a customer, and in general, is just a smart guy who sits on the other side of the spectrum when it comes to political issues and outlook. So for me, I am very interested in being challenged on issues where I have strong opinions. Not challenged like you see on cable news, people yelling at each other, but challenged with information and hearing from a different perspective. And that's what I think we are attempting to do. We're going to tighten the screws on it every week. But yeah, it's just we're going to talk about things that most people aren't comfortable talking about. And we come from two totally different places. Yeah. And I'd like to think we're both informed. So it's interesting.
Yeah, so it's called Inbounds, right, Johnny? That's what you guys ended up naming it.
United or Divided.
Oh, United or Divided. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So United or Divided. And here, I'm just going to say, I couldn't challenge Johnny on these, to be his co-host. Like, this is not where I feel comfortable at, or am I informed enough to even have these type of conversations. Paul Pavlich is someone that has supported the brand, followed a lot of my workout stuff, been around both of us for a really long time, and we both respect. Like, we like Paul as a person, yes. and he respectfully sits very, on the other side, to where him and John can have like thought-provoking, I believe calm for the most part, probably conversations, but passionate to give both sides. So I was all about it because John had an itch for this, and I really couldn't offer the value there. So this is a great thing for the Business and Biceps crowd to see too. Like, our business of this channel is growing, and we're going to add more value. And look, there's going to be people that come just for those views, that come just for this, or just need the daily fire stuff to get them going for 7 minutes. So it's like, we're trying to add more value to the channel, and we're going to keep looking for that to be able to create like a network that we're proud of.
Absolutely. I think you said it perfectly. And to tease it for 15 seconds, just to give you kind of a peek in, On the episode that's out now, it's the first episode, Paul explains why he believes if you are positive, if you test positive and you have COVID-19, nobody should tell you that you have to self-quarantine, and you should be free to go about your business. So obviously that's his opinion. I respect it, although I strongly disagree with it. But those are the kind of things that
you're laughing just thinking about it.
Because here's the challenge, right? We're so into demonizing someone who thinks differently than us in this country, and that has to stop. And I think that this shows a practice in that. But I wanted to dangle a carrot for people to kind of understand, what's going down.
I gotta say, Johnny, it was weird because we've did daily fires back in the day, right? So you would do one and I would do one. So that didn't feel that unnatural. But whenever you had to intro the show, it was weird for me, not in like a jealous way, but in a way I was like, fuck, like John's now running with, and I love Paul, but it was weird to be a listener on our channel and I'm not involved. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't as weird when it was just 1-on-1, because we did that stuff for like almost a year back in the day. But also listening as a listener that, wasn't in the production of it, and but proud of the content, because I listened to it when I was lunging this morning and I was like, all right, Fosco, like this is good, dude. I'm pumped. So good for you, man.
Trying to keep a level head.
I love it. All right. So leverage points. I don't know that this is something that I feel like I did a lot of this probably natural. I'm not saying I got it right all the time, but I think I was aware of it where I could, push a little bit, or I knew I didn't have the pop essentially to push because I hadn't earned that possible ask or that leverage on that part of business. And I'm sure I didn't get it right all the times, but I think that this is something that I feel like a high amount of people are so unaware of that they literally take themselves like totally out of the equation whenever they miss it. Especially for guys that are aware of it. And so for me, it's like hard for me to put my thumb on maybe why I understood it, but I obviously did at most of my career. And so have you, or we wouldn't have got this much done, because you just don't go through unaware of this and have success. It's virtually impossible, I would say. So like, what's your best way to kind of, for lack of a better word, like dumb it down to say like, here's like where people maybe go wrong early in just like a basic process if you're thinking about this?
Sure. I think that, and I say this a lot, but I'll put it in context here. I think where people go wrong is we are all always biased and unaware that our self-interest just protrudes outward at all times. So when we're
just
talking
human, it's just human behavior, right, John?
Right,
like just what it is. Yeah.
We don't need to think about what we want, because we know what we want. We work every day to get what we want. But when we're talking about leverage, that deals with other people, and typically it deals with people who can benefit you. So if you're trying to get something, whether it be a higher position, a deal done, or whatever, you really have to study the other individual you're dealing with, or individuals, and yourself, and say, what am I bringing to the table? What am I bringing to the table for them? Like, because what they're bringing to the table for you. That's why you're engaged. That's why you want to do something. That's why you want a promotion. That's why you want a deal. That's why you want their money. But what are you bringing to them? And then you have to weigh out what they're potentially bringing to you and what you're bringing to them. And you have to see, if you put yourself in the other person's shoes, what you represent by, let's say, getting a deal done or promoting you, like what you represent to them. Do you represent the young dude who's the all-star in the company, who basically you're thinking, this boss should promote me because the numbers say I'm the all-star, and if he promotes me versus a different manager, then it looks like he's bringing up the young stud under his wing, so I'm attached to him in the corporate structure because the numbers say I'm the star. Like, you need to think like him, right? You need to think like that other person, because that's what you would be offering someone who would potentially promote you. But on the flip side of it, let's just use that scenario.
Mhm.
You also offer danger, because if somebody promotes you and you're the young all-star and they show you their bag of tricks, well, bro, if the young all-star is coming for your head next. So that's the risk you take. So you, in presenting the idea of, I want to be promoted, I want to come up under you, you have to know that you pose a danger and you pose strong upside. And when selling that idea to that individual, you have to talk about the upside, but also talk about the danger and assure them that that thought, that danger, put that fire out before it even starts in their head. Now, I'm not saying that's how it's going to play out,
Yeah.
but you have to know what they're thinking, okay? And you have to fucking put the fire out. That's a hypothetical. I mean, I can go into very specific examples, but that's kind of a general description.
No, I like that. And here's one that would be very relevant for today's day and age is the person that has 75 followers that just started their business, and then that messages a person that has a big following within the community. It was like, and has no absolute, like, this happened to me so many times. I have no prior relationship. I don't have any clue who they are. I don't even know if they're good at what they do. Man, I just started my fitness page. You think you could like repost that so I could, get some love? And I'm like, I mean, that is like the most unaware. And I actually answer back that way now to teach. And I go, listen, man, I'm glad that you started it, but what you have to think about, where's the gain for me that with zero relationship to put you on my platform when I have no background? Like, I don't even know how that ask. And I know that's like very social media specific, but this is like stuff that people do all the time to me, dude. And I'm just like, where does that, I know you're trying to throw a shot in the dark, but no one's reeling that in because there's no, I hate to say it, there's no value to the person there. I just don't understand where that even that thought comes from. That always like trips me out, bro. I would never do that.
No, but I think people, okay, so if we want to use that situation, here's
that's a proper kind of show of it, right, Johnny? Of leverage to some degree.
So here's how you do it. So the guy's got 75 followers. He wants to be featured or whatever he wants. Okay. Yeah. So if you're that guy who has 75 followers and you know someone who's an editor-in-chief of a big website or a big publication that can then return the favor, it looks a little bit more like this. Hey man, I'm pushing in the fitness world. I look up to you. I'd love to do something with you. And just so you know, I'm really tight with this person. And if we can kind of work something out, I'm pretty confident, especially if this guy sees that, you're showing me some love, that I can get you on this platform, which would be a step up for you.
Exactly.
So that's how you approach it, right? Because, or else there's just nothing in it for the other person and it's a wash. And the person is just going to be like, dude, get the fuck out of here.
And then what happens is then all of a sudden you're the dick because you're like shitting on the small guy, but that's not really what it is. No. It doesn't operate that way.
The small guy is trying to use you as a ladder.
Exactly.
I mean, it's that simple. And like we were talking about before the show. Okay, so my previous marketing business was a large amount of our revenue came from the UFC, and basically here's how it went. Right, I didn't just go into that space and say, oh, I'm going to fucking dominate. I knew that everybody was chasing the same dollar. They were trying to recruit the next John Jones, George St. Pierre, and represent them. Okay. So how do I differentiate myself, develop leverage, and become important and or powerful and make money in the space? I'm going to go chase a different dollar. And that dollar was something called corporate money. So everyone was trying to gather all the fighters. I wanted to gather all the money, but I couldn't make strong moves until I did it. So I didn't even want to tell anyone about it. So what I did is I got a group of companies and I got their marketing budgets. And all of a sudden, all these guys who managed all these fighters, every single one of them, they didn't have sponsorship dollars for them. I had all the sponsorship dollars. So what I started doing is saying, here's the deal. I'll give your guy $1,500. Oh no, he gets 10,000. I said, okay, fine. I'll move on to the next. And then what started happening is I didn't need them because I had the money. They needed the money to keep their fighters happy. I didn't need the money to keep my fighters happy. Okay. They did. So I pushed down the sponsorship costs. The sponsorship fees in a market, because while they were going after fighters, I was going after the dollars. But I never flexed. I never made asks until I got the pot of gold. Once I got the pot of gold, there was guys who were very smart. They said, listen, here's the deal, man. Here's the deal. Yeah, my guy normally takes, gets $7,500 for the spot. I'll do 1,500 for you. He's in a main event, but do you think you can like sponsor my next 7 guys who are on TV, like on that rate, as long as they're on TV? And I said, okay, yeah, if I get a main event, yeah, well, I'll do your next set. So they knew they were fucked. They knew they were not going to get me to bend because I had all the gold. So basically they realized the position I was in. So what they did is, as opposed to fighting what could not be defeated, they said, okay, why don't I build a relationship with this person? Because I do have a large stable of fighters. And even though I can't get as much as I was before, I'll still get some money and I'll divide it amongst all the guys. And that's exactly what happened.
Well, and then what happened was some of the guys started to migrate from you. You didn't migrate to you to be obviously also managed because you didn't have to really chase them anymore because they knew where all the money was.
I didn't have to recruit them. They literally came to me and said, I want you to manage me. I'll give you 20% of my fight money, my show money, my bonus money. And these are people I didn't even recruit just because they knew, once again, I had all the leverage, AKA, oh shit. Something just happened.
John, you all right?
Yeah, Corey, continue. My computer fell.
All right. John just had a technical error. So and I was on the other side of that. So I was one of the companies that John was managing the dollars for. And then not only did it make me feel good to continue to work alongside John and his company, because I knew as a businessman, he had the leverage, which means I was going to get more money, more ad time.
Which means you as my client,
exactly.
Muscle Farm, the old company, they had the leverage because you were on my team. I leveraged your money to go farther.
Of course. And then leverage it against other people. It was all a chess game that was executed beautifully. I mean, honestly. And I knew, obviously once I saw you get another 1 or 2 big companies, I knew exactly what you were doing. But why was I mad about that? I was going to spend that money anyway. I'm getting more exposure. I've got less time involved. Everyone's getting, we're getting what we need. You're getting what you need. And it was something that was, from our side, we saw it and we're like it was just all respect, John. And at the end of the day, even if you would have had those other companies fall, meaning come to you before mine, like that would have been the same leverage. Like, man, I already know what this, like either way, once you got one big dog and you knew what to do with it, you had the leverage. The rest of it's the hardest for anyone, I think, is always the first one. Right? That's like you're pushing this rock up as fucking
you're nobody.
Hill.
You're nobody.
You're nobody until you have that essential like check mark of whatever that, kind of thing is you've accomplished that gave you leverage. That right there. And that's what everyone's kind of grabbing and pulling for. But if you don't have a strategy to have that leverage,
correct,
then you're never going to really get all the way what you want. I mean, I just think that's part of this process. So if you're unaware, like if John was like, you know what? I'm just going to go try to get John Jones too. But why is John Jones going to go with John Fosco? You know what I mean? Even when you went to go get John, you had all the possible leverage points possible. If he didn't then choose you, you really couldn't do anything else. It's all a personal thing at that point. But you built up plenty big enough portfolio to snag a guy like that or GSP or whoever, right? So it's like you can only put your best foot forward with the leverage points to go get and shoot for those type of deals. And sometimes they happen, sometimes they don't. But that chess game, people just ain't playing, bro. They're not at all.
I think you brought up an important point, the first one. So these are things we need to tell ourselves. Like, I'm nobody right now. I'm in a certain, like it's okay to admit that. The problem is there's so much of the other thing. Oh, I'm somebody. No, you're nobody in an industry until like you matter to people, until you can get in people's ways, until you can disrupt a deal. Like you're nobody, and that's okay. But if you're in an industry and you feel like you have not accomplished something yet, like Corey said, you have to have a plan. So you see that plan and you work towards it, and know that part of that plan should be, well, once I get that and I got my eye on it, no one else knows I got my eye on it. Once I get it, now I got leverage in the space because I got something that everyone else needs a little piece of. And you got to do that first before you make asks to people, before you expect favors from people, before you even expect people to know your name. You need to accomplish something, or else what the fuck are you? No, this isn't, you know what I'm saying? This isn't charity. You're not my homie. Even if you're my friend and you're doing business with me, I'm not doing you favors. Like, business is business. So yeah, you have to make yourself valuable to others to call on any kind of leverage.
Don't you think that, especially today's day and age, it seems like that amount of time wants to be rushed, or they're essentially, I just see people not willing to put it in and they're just not patient? Because that takes time to get the first deal.
Absolutely.
That made a difference in your career starts all the way back of you being in the store at MMA Stop and Clay Guida walks in like that and says, will you sponsor me or man? Like, it starts there, and it built over all those years and that passion, Johnny, and that chess game to get MP and Safe Auto and all Xbox and Red Nose and all these, you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, it's because there was a plan, right? So there was a plan. Even then, it was, you have to look at a space if you're going to go into a space with your career and say, what is it missing? And the plan was, okay, how can I present myself to these companies so they trust me with their money? That was the plan, because nobody was doing it. So I knew it would take time, but I knew once it clicked, it was mine. And I knew I would have a nasty position in the industry if it clicked. But it wasn't if it was when. And that's it. So if I just went in blindly, then I would just be another schmo. But if you got your eye on something that no one's doing, you just keep fucking working towards it until you get it. And then at that point, you have leverage, and you'll know when you have leverage. Because here's the best way to know you have leverage. People who don't know your name don't know you. They start knowing your name and they start treating you nice. And you're like, who the fuck are you?
And they start picking up your phone call.
Yeah. Well, yeah, or they start calling you and oh, I met you. And you're like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not hard to see indicators or to get indicators when you have leverage in a space, because people's behavior, they start sucking you off, man. They start treating you like they start treating you like you're the hot chick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Especially one that was on that blast at that time too, John, with the marketing dollars and how fast and hot the UFC was coming, off a spike, and right before, the Fox deal, like that area of time, man, it was just moving, and the money coming in and out, and just the value that you were offering. Like it was awesome.
Yeah, that's on a major level, but like let's bring it down to like a max effort level. Okay, so everyone sees what we do, so you can imagine how many T-shirts we buy. Yeah. You can imagine how many fucking jugs we buy. You can imagine how much design we put into all this stuff. So because there's so much quantity, we have leverage. We have leverage because there's many people who rely on Max Effort Muscle and say Max Effort Muscle is one of our big accounts. Yep. Well, if we're one of your big accounts, you rely on us for a percentage of your revenue. If you rely on us for a percentage of your revenue, if we go away, you're not in a good spot, which means we have leverage.
Yeah, you're going to notice it. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And that's where negotiation comes in. And that's where, never resting on price comes in. You have to kind of know where you stand. And dude, just do the math. If you're spending, a lot of money, however you may gauge that in your industry, but a lot of money with another business, you are important to them. They're not going to tell you because no one wants to give up their position because they want to act like you need us. When you are writing the check, you are in control.
Dude, 1,000,000%. When we were, spending heavy marketing dollars, you get the guys writing the checks, the guys with the gold, they make all the rules, bro. It's just like you said, like once you got all the accounts, you knew you could just sit and wait because you had however many guys on your payroll, meaning from a fighter standpoint, you could allocate all the dollars to them if you wanted. You didn't have to share with anybody, really, Johnny.
The way it ended up is it costed me more money to have fun. I would have been more profitable if I didn't have to dole out money to any of my guys.
For sure.
Because there's so much money and margin in managing other people's money. But obviously, I stayed loyal to my guys. So yeah, it's just listen, understand where your money is going. And listen, if you're a supplement company and you're, buying $50,000 a year worth of product from a manufacturer or source, wherever you get it from, you're probably not a big fish to them. And therefore they could drop you and not really care. So you have to pay on time. You have to do all these things because they have the leverage. They have the leverage because they could cater to their 3, 5, 10, 15, $20 million customer. So just know that it goes in reverse as well.
Yeah. And also, so let's say you're the person right now, you're watching us and you're like, never really thought about this before. Now you're thinking about it and you're thinking, fuck, I ain't got no leverage anywhere. How the fuck do I get some of this leverage? It really comes down to, right, Johnny, looking at your situation and seeing where you offer the value at, how you position yourself. And I think some people think like that this chess game or strategy is in a deceitful way. But I would argue that
it's business, man.
It's exactly. And I don't know why. And I brought this up because I think a lot of people think this way, but I don't know why they think this way. It's okay to have a agenda that's at least bettering yourself as long as you're not, doing something that's hurting a person or that I think's like below bar. Like if you're just positioning yourself, adding value, working hard, have aspirations and finding spots where you can make a difference to then get the promotion, then, take that person's job. That's the fucking way it works. Like this entire process that I've been in this industry, I've like, who can I position to learn from, stand beside, be around, account wise, like the relationships are still to this day, like coming up in conversations and things. And if I need to reach out to people, like, dude, especially when I had the most leverage, let's call it, in my entire life, when I was writing essentially the biggest checks, I created every possible relationship within the industry from all the big time guys, right? And some of them are still around, some of them aren't. But at the end of the day, they still remember me writing those checks.
Sure.
So if I call them today, they're probably going to pick up. And even though I haven't had to call, like, so you got to understand there's going to be spots where you have more leverage than others in that you should position yourself because you can, right? Like I remember like saying, okay, I need to get GNC is a really good example. Maybe not right now. They're struggling, but back then stock was $50, $5 billion market cap. They were like basically untouchable, right? And so was the CEO. But I positioned myself over time to make a relationship with the CEO, for him to help me, for me to create a relationship. And to this day, if I need that guy, I can reach out because guess what? Our account went from 3 million to 30 million once I created that relationship. Myself and Dustin Williams was in there working and he saw that. So not only was I the one that was getting stuff in there so he could make money and I could make money, but I got to showcase over time what my skills were like and how I operated within those boardrooms and those things of that nature. And then you start to be like, all right, it's just like, then when I had an ask like, hey, all right, I need to get a wall in GNC. What's it? just lay it out to me, bro. Like, I don't even want to go, like, just what's it going to cost me? What's the pot? There was no bullshit. It was like, all right, this dude got some pop. This is what it's going to take. Boom. It's done. You know what I mean? So it's like, you have to position and show that you got some pop, in that you offered some value to even have a conversation with a motherfucker like that, because he's not even going to let you in his fucking office.
Yeah.
It's just not.
If you're a young person saying, okay, how do I get leverage? I like the phrase that rings in my head is, you need me. So if you know that somebody or a system needs you, you have leverage. You have leverage. You do not have and see, your ego wants to tell you that you're needed. Oh, I work here, man. They'd be fucked without me. Well, how were they doing before you? Okay, so how are they doing with, like, you can't just say that. You have to be able to point to some sort of production, some sort of addition. You have to be able to point to something that says this business is going to hurt if I'm not part of it. Like, so you need to make yourself valuable. So somebody or a system needs you, and then if they lose you, they are going to feel a financial hit. So you want to create leverage, you want to have leverage, you need to be needed. If you're not needed, then you're not going to have any leverage. Like, if I look at positions I'm in, like, nobody just gives them. Like, I'll get in there. The value that I provide is needed, and that's why I'm in the position, and that's it. Like, and I have leverage in my own way, and I'll use it in my own way. But you don't just have leverage if you aren't showing anything on the scorecard. You don't. So if that's the question you're asking yourself as a young person, how do I get some leverage? Make yourself needed to a person or a business.
Yeah, one of the best ways, Johnny, in that mind is, like, if you can't make a difference on the balance sheet for a vendor, like we talked about with Max Effort, like we're on the balance sheet. Absolutely. They don't want to lose us, right? Then it becomes responsibility is your balance sheet, is your scorecard. So if I take more responsibility, I work up under John, and I'm taking more responsibility. I'm making John's life easier. John's making the same or more money. I'm making his life easier. I create more responsibility, and John believes in me. And he sees the way, and he gives me more. And he says, man, this motherfucker really got it. They're creating more relationship, or they're creating more leverage up under John, because John knows how good he's got it right now. And he's like, and he trusts this person. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with that, because last time I checked, business people want to have their time. They value it, right? So if you're creating that, then all of a sudden you've wound yourself into that business to such a degree that you're essentially more needed. That's really one of the most basic ways I could come up with to say, and I love a person that over delivers like that, because at the end of the day, like, that's what we want, John.
It's what you want. And for those out there, okay, so if we flip it away to, if you're just listening in general, money is always leverage. When we're talking about business, money is leverage. So, when I was listening to you talk, you think about what people who are very well known, very, very wealthy people do. They find businesses and people, and what they are good at may not sound like it's the biggest thing in the world, but what they're good at is knowing where to put their money, knowing who to put their money with. And then they own several things, but they have good operators, they have good businesses, and they're not putting their money in stupid spots. So, as you kind of graduate up in businesses to certain levels, you get to a point where, okay, where should I place my money? And that's where you have leverage if you are placing your money in places, but you have to understand, people are always, especially people, who have money, they're always looking for good operators, good businesses, and they're always going to have leverage.
Yeah, no, that's true. A good operator is hard to come by.
100%.
And some people are born to do it and don't want to be entrepreneurs, and others, want to have their own show. I mean, there's a little bit of both that goes on with a lot of people, but a good operator to complement, a big creative or someone that also is creative and has money can
Sure.
go an awful long fucking way. And you can create a really long relationship and create some wealth if you create a position like that with a group of people. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities I think out there. People are always looking. It's hard and I would have had the same thing like when I was younger, listening to us thinking like people are out there like looking where to employ their money constantly.
Oh, fuck. That's all people are doing. That's all wealthy people do is, okay, where should I put my money?
And I know that's like but for some people that's like hard to grasp. Like they have that much extra money that they're trying to find people that got pop.
What's a bank do? What's a bank do?
There you go. You're right. I mean, it's fucking true. And I remember, as I got obviously graduated up a little bit in my investing process, I remember sitting, monthly going, okay, there's this amount I want to employ in this area, and it's like it's a total strategy to create wealth that people get to. And until you get to that point, it's kind of hard to understand, but just understand that we need quality people. That's how you can start with no money to create leverage for yourself.
Yeah.
That's one of the best things you can do. Fosco, anything else on this spot that you can think of that we haven't hit?
Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties. You've frozen on me right now.
You're good. You're not you were froze on me, but you're
okay, good. We're having some technical. Okay, now we're clear. Anything else on this?
Any way we didn't hit it? I mean,
I just think you can't rush because when a lot of people think about leverage, they think about power. And when you think about power, you think about being the man. Like you want to use
the man.
Yeah, no, a lot of people would rather be the man than be, unknown and have a lot of money. That's just the truth. Because the man in their head,
I met a lot of people like that in them days, buddy.
Who gets all the limelight. So I think, part of this leverage conversation, I think people may go there in their head, power. No, the point of leverage in business is to advance your position. It's like a chess game. So leverage shouldn't be used to make yourself look cool, which a lot of people use it for that, but it should be used to advance your position in your industry. Yep. That's what it should be used for. So I don't want you guys thinking, oh, I'm going to use it and just be a boss. People say stupid shit like that. They say stupid shit like, and they think, oh, I'm going to be a boss and I'm a no. Listen.
I think Rick Ross fucked everybody up when that song went fucking platinum or whatever.
It's a chessboard, bro. It's a chessboard. So if you got some leverage, use it to advance your career. When you advance your career, you advance your earning potential. You advance the stability of your livelihood and your family. Don't waste the leverage. You know what I'm saying? That's, I think, another important point is it's very easy to waste it. Yeah. Use it to advance yourself.
Yeah. I guess then also, what's so funny is about chess. Do you play chess or do you like chess, John?
I've never really sat down or been around someone who like plays it. So no, I haven't.
So this is a real weird thing about, I don't like board games at all. Right. But I love chess and I've played it since I was really young. Okay. And my kids play it and picked it up real quick. It's weird. And I think maybe I've always, thought, and I started playing it real young and I can't even remember how. I think I taught myself, but I don't know if that's a way that, even though you haven't played it, which I'm surprised, it's like, because the strategy of it, and Stratego, which was a game I played when I was a kid. It was
I played Stratego back
okay. I figured you probably played that, right? I knew I'd bring that out. You'd love that. Yeah. So I think it was one of those where my brain naturally worked like this. And I don't know if it's like, it was a default because I knew I couldn't hang my hat on some type of degree or so. I knew mine was always going to come from work and position and value. And I just kept redoing this. And then as I would look at the tapestry or whatever the slate, as it was working itself out, I would see my spots and I would wait till it made the most sense. I'd be patient. I go, boom, that's where that ask is. That's where I can show the value at. And then click, boom. And it's just like one notch, right? And literally just keep playing that game, or you're 4 moves ahead on the chessboard, which I really, really enjoyed playing growing up, just to understand that you're getting to this spot. It's just going to take a little while. You got to go around the board. So I think, kind of like jiu-jitsu is a real chess match, right? Guys usually know they're flowing. They understand where they're taking their person that's, in guard or whatever. It's just, you have to start to train your mind to think like, all right, I need to do this. And it might take a year to even just get to there. But then I see who I got to be with, who I need to learn from, where I got to stand next to, who I got to position, where I got to show value. Like, it could be a few year process, but if you're not thinking that way, you're going to have a hard time, because then you're leaving it to chance. You're just literally leaving it to chance. Like, motherfucker, I didn't leave my shit to chance. Like, I pushed, and then, with hoping that there'd be some possibilities, push. And it doesn't happen when you want it to, or just because you push, but then being aware when you see it and not being scared to go take it or ask. That's a lot of, I think, just people completely miss this altogether, and they're just wondering why it never happened.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people, especially, let's say,
Froze up a little bit, Johnny.
Oh, can you hear me? Are we still having technical difficulties, or can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. Trey's giving me a thumb. Go ahead.
Okay, gotcha. I think a lot of people, whether they be right out of college or whatever, when they get a job, there is not this second thought of what is my strategy within this new bubble that I work in. They just get a job, and that's the win, right? The win is I got a job.
Like, it's over.
And it's just beginning. And unfortunately, if you go into a space and you do not have a plan, you are literally just going to be going through the motions. By definition, any job you walk into, like if you are a go-getter, if you are going to go to the top, you should be able to ask someone, or you as yourself should be able to articulate how you are going to get to the top. Like, any place I've ever walked into where I put my thought and myself in position to work, I always had a strategy. I always had a strategy to uplift myself. Always.
Same.
I never just went to work. And if you just go to work, you're just going to get a paycheck. You have to have a fucking strategy. I know you may say, oh, what's the strategy? You have to figure it out. You have to observe. You have to be aware of your corporate politics. You have to be aware of your you have to be aware of all these things and figure out where you fit in. And every day you got to work towards that. But if you just walk in and you say, fuck yeah, man, I got a job with, I got a job with Adidas, and this is sick. And I can no, what are you doing? What are you working towards every day? You should have your eyes on the prize. And if you don't, you're probably not going to work there long.
Is it, Johnny, and maybe this is like one of the main contributing factors to the progress that both of us have seen over all these years. I always have naturally thought about a strategy of positioning in every one of my situations, that especially when I was building the retail business, you had to strategize to be in, different areas of the business and international and all the, like, is it something that was natural for you?
Oh,
always? Because it seems like it was natural. It seems like it was natural for me. And then once I saw it work, I was like, this is just a fucking wrap. Will always operate this way.
Yeah, I think for those who may have trouble grasping it, here's what I would say. If you're working in, like most people do, for a bigger company, look exactly to the person you work under. And you need to size that person up. Strengths, weaknesses, you need to be aware of what they're doing at all times. And you need to key in, once you've observed long enough, on what they are weak at. And you need to become strong. And they are the first domino that you need to knock down. Because if you want to move up, they need to be taken out. They need to be taken out. And you cannot recklessly just take someone out. You can't talk shit about them. You can't do this. No, size them up. Find out where they're fucking weak and fucking go at it.
Yeah.
Go at it. And that's what I would always do. And you need to understand in a corporate environment, no one likes bad talking. So what you do is you talk to people that can put you in a position, let's say, to take out your boss. You talk to people above them, and you do nothing but compliment that person, but never compliment them on their weaknesses. But when you are doing when you are doing what they are weak at, let their superior know that you're doing those things, because they'll look at you and they say, man, he's really supportive of his leader. But I'll tell you what, he always does these things. And I'm not hearing that. That Jerry, the fucking manager, that he's doing that. And I think we need more of this. You need to know your playing field, bro, but you have to assassinate the person in your spot every time. You got to take them out. That's it.
And it's so funny, is John, because I obviously 1,000% get this and done this, but probably some people be like, John sounds like a fucking psycho. He's talking about assassinating motherfuckers. He's talking about sizing them up like at the 9-to-5 corporate job. But that's
fine.
That's how the motherfuckers got in the manager roles. That's why they're running shit. That's why they're getting the bonuses.
Well, if you think like that, that's why I'll always be above you in a business sense. In a business sense, I don't mean as a person, but that's why I'll always be above you, because I approach it like that. That's it.
Because someone is playing the game, so you're either playing it or it's getting played on you.
Yeah, or you are the game. Yeah,
or you are the game. So that's why I wanted to show the other side of that and just understand, yeah, that's not for everybody. I get that, but don't wonder why you're not getting promoted if you're not playing this game.
Absolutely, man. So listen, if you don't have a bit of savagery to you, if you don't have an edge to you, if you're not willing to do things to get other people out of your way that are completely ethical, completely legal. I mean, that's the thing. They're ethical, legal. I'm talking about outperforming somebody to take their job. It's just like being drafted into the NBA and being the 9th man on the bench and saying, I need to fucking kill it in practice because I'm the center and our center doesn't fight for rebounds. So I'm going to be a beast on the ball. It's the same thing. It's just done in different ways. So if you're the pussy that's sitting at home listening, saying, oh, that's ruthless, I don't want to turn into that kind of person. All right, bro, you don't want to turn into that. It's not that kind of person. You're just going to suck at your job your whole life. So, and your girlfriend's going to cheat on you and leave you. So
I get this fucking guy. I see Trey.
She's gonna have sex with your best friend. She's gonna have sex with your best friend.
John, I was thinking about the strategy as you were talking. I know we probably could wrap this up pretty soon, but I was thinking about my strategy. I remember when I first came in the supplements, I looked at everybody, Muscle Tech, BSN, Gaspar, all the big 3 or 4, right, that was running shit at the time. And I started really picking them apart. I'm like, what are they not very good at? And these are a few things I knew that I could be good at that didn't take anything but effort. One was I didn't see them ever respond to anybody. They were so big and arrogant at that time. And this is like 2009, 10, whatever. Social media is kind of popping, especially for the big ones. People are leaving all these messages. I'm sure they're DMing, and I'm just seeing no personal contact, right? And then I saw the people that were doing the content, and they didn't look real relatable. They look like I can't look.
They look like roid heads.
They are roid heads, right?
Yeah.
And so I saw, there's my spot. Okay, relatable, unique, and then I'll go that blue collar level of answering every message for the brand, for myself, for any, doesn't matter, any type of interaction. I am all over, and I dedicated to the long game of that, and that's where I really believed. I could build a lot of loyalty because I would have value there. And essentially I created a leverage position in a quality manner with a customer base that then found value to then support whatever I was, selling, whether protein and whatever at the time, because I had added value from a content standpoint because I looked attainable and I was, fucking coming at them and getting them results, that I was responsive, that they showed that they weren't just a fucking number, because they're not, that I valued them as a customer. And then as the business started to evolve, we initially looked like everyone else, but then eventually we said, well, there's a position to look like a Nike of this space, right? And then, obviously we evolved into Max Effort to where we were like, look, maybe a throwback Dollar Shave Club type of, vibe or something like that. So it's like, you always are looking at where's the position of the industry? How am I positioning my skill set? Where can I then create that loyalty and that leverage in a positive way? And I just remember looking at all that stuff and thinking like, these are things I know I can do with my skill set that if I do them consistently long enough, they will make a difference in this business or in my life as a business person forever. And it did, because it grew to the level that it did. But I never came off of that type of push because I knew that was something that made me very different than everyone else. And I picked up on it really early, and it was a pretty basic thing if you really think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I mean, again, you're looking at a landscape and you're observing, like,
Yep.
we both said the same exact thing, but you're seeing that these companies that have the majority of the business, you're seeing what they're not doing.
Yes.
And in your eyes, you saw the benefit of doing that. So you started doing it.
Yeah.
And,
I mean,
and
so basic though.
yeah, it's always basic. It's always basic.
That,
But people, they think too much inside the box. You know what I'm saying? So they, a lot of people using that example. Oh, well, if Muscle Tech or BSN, if they're the leaders of the industry and that's what they're doing, well, that must be the way to do it.
yeah.
You have to have something inside yourself where you're like, no, bro, they're missing that. And then that's where the gap opens up. And then
the
you gotta
ego,
commit to it, bro.
Johnny, because that was where their ego was getting them, right? And I was at that time a president of a business that wasn't near as big, but I'm still in here answering direct messages because I understand that these, customers that see that value then would retain for a decade. I believed, and a lot of them have. You know what I'm saying? That it showed to be true. So I think in that scenario is in every business somewhere as you walk in. There's got to be a spot. No one is all the way foolproof. It's impossible.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just smiling now because the only thing outside of the UFC this past weekend, which I'd like to talk about, but I'm smiling because the only thing that's really been on TV that's been original and new is the Last Dance, the thing with Jordan. Have you been keeping up with it?
Yeah, bro. Fuck it. I just love Michael Jordan.
So just think about it, for all you guys that have been watching it. Just think about like everything we talk about, and obviously we're talking about competing and business, and just think about how Jordan approached everything. It was legit. Like that's what I love so much about
Psycho,
the show,
bro. I fucking love it.
He is nuts, and he has literally like he will decimate you. Like that's all he wants, is to decimate you, to maintain dominance. Oh, you question me? Okay, watch it. And everyone else is like, oh, fuck. And there's nothing wrong with that attitude. Why is he so celebrated? He's so celebrated because he's the greatest winner of all time. Why is he the greatest winner of all time? Because of his mindset. He is going to take you out, and he's unapologetic about it. He is unapologetic about it. And I don't know if you saw in the most recent episode, I'm sure you did, but when he talked about Steve Kerr, and he basically was like, listen, we were playing pussy ball. They weren't fucking calling fouls. I need to turn up the fucking heat. Phil was calling bullshit fouls, and he fucking smoked Steve Kerr in practice. Steve Kerr hits him in the chest, and then he cracks Steve Kerr in the fucking eye. But he's like, ever since that, and this is how fucking people think. This is how alphas think. Ever since Steve Kerr stood up to him and hit him back, even though Michael got the best of him, their relationship changed immediately, because that showed Michael as the leader, as the alpha of the team, that this guy was willing to fight. He was willing to fight. He wasn't just coming in, oh, I got my job, I'm a bastard. No, he was willing to fight. And that's what made him respect Steve Kerr. That's what makes any alpha, who's probably your boss, who's probably the CEO of your company, that's what makes people respect people, is like, oh, you're willing to stand up for what you believe in? Okay, motherfucker, come do it.
Yep.
Sure, it's temporary, right? The little fight was temporary, but it showed you, it took you into his mind.
I
You know what I'm saying?
guarantee that lent Steve Kerr's confidence to probably why he's where he's at today. John, that had to be part of it. Why? How could it not be? Because and you see how Mike was like, and then I realized I beat up the smallest guy on the team.
I know.
But Steve Kerr didn't back down. And now forever, Jordan has a respect for him to realize and see what was interesting, because he essentially took John Paxson's place, right? As the 3-pointer white guy. And he was like, yo, he's in here just acting all jolly because we're the Bulls and we've won 3 championships. But this
you ain't done shit.
But you ain't won a fucking championship.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So it's like one of those things where I like that, because he was like, yo, you're not going to ride on these coattails. Like, you need to fucking earn it. Here's what this is reconfirmed for me. Jordan did this for that whole age group. I think we witnessed it. We saw tons of footage of him. We understood how he worked. I don't know that I realized until I've watched this, because it's been so many years since we've seen this amount of footage, right, Johnny? We just forget. His mentality, I think, just shaped so many people, because you knew Jordan worked like that. You knew that he was going to fucking win her if you had the game. Like, you knew the way he carried himself was at that extreme level. And I don't know, like, all that stuff started coming back to my memories of, kind of growing up and watching this, and then understanding how he used anger at an extreme level, even when he was manufacturing it. I fucking love, because I've used that off and on for years, and I'm sure you have too. But like, that guy scored 36. He said that he like slighted MJ at the end of the game. The guy never even said anything to him.
No,
MJ made it up.
Yeah.
And then MJ made him look like the next game like he never even played basketball.
But he did that to everybody. And if what you notice about him is when things become easy and he cannot find a challenge, he's not interested. He's not interested. So
I bet you can vibe with that, huh, Johnny?
Yeah, 100%. And he even said, I remember when they were questioning whether or not he had a gambling problem, he said, listen, and he was straight, I don't have a gambling problem. I have a competition problem. He said it himself. And to this day, he does. And when you see every flashback, they were talking about Clyde Drexler as the number 2. Like he's so serious. He's like, no, that we couldn't have that conversation. Like I had to shut that down real quick. You're like he's nuts. He's nuts in an amazing way.
The disgust on his face when Gary Payton acted like he could check him. He was like, I like Gary Player, but I never had no problem with the glove. Like, he couldn't believe at 50 or however old, like, he would fucking take him to the court right now. He like is thinking like, did he mention his name around my name? Like, did you see the look on his face, John?
Listen, so it was a gift, because honestly, it was a great gift, because being able to grow up literally and watch him, and you can interpret things even as a kid through his body language, through just the way he did things, where you're like, oh, okay, so a guy like that wins. So you're just 100%. Like, that's how you do it. And then when you see him present day, and he is so fucking serious about nothing is not serious, and his whole outlook is, kind of like what I was saying earlier, like, I will assassinate you if you're in my way. And that's what he did. And I think it's literally a blessing that people get to watch and see inside his mind.
I am so excited that it's been during this time, because this is the time that's the most challenging, because it's so kind of up in the air for so many things. And to have that mentality like being presented, which I know helped shape me, because I was growing up I was playing basketball in high school during this time, as were you. It's like Jordan was the epitome of, like, every fucking weekend you would watch, like, you knew if you got the ball. And look, the funny thing is, he missed all kinds of game winners, but I don't remember any of those ones.
No, nobody does, because he kept shooting, because he had the confidence. But what I could keep going on. What I love is everybody said it. All the teammates, if you watch the show, playing with Michael Jordan, he was a fucking asshole. See, a lot of people didn't know that. A lot of people did. He was a fucking asshole, but they understood once they reached the pinnacle, aka 2 3-peats, 6 championships. Why?
That's how you win with Bill Cartwright.
That's how you win
with
That's how
Bill
you win in
Winnington.
anything.
Yeah.
He's not there to be your friend. He is there to win. You can either ride with him or you're going to get your ass knocked the fuck down. And business is the same way. And if you take it seriously every fucking day, like every fucking practice he fucking took seriously, you're gonna get results. Like you're just gonna. But I think it's very valuable because I think a lot of people saw him and they saw him as this nice, smiley guy, good with the press. Dude, his teammates hated him. BJ Armstrong laughs about it. He was like, dude, he's a motherfucking tyrant.
Dude, he used to
Grant said the same thing.
He used to ride those guys like crazy, bro, because he thought they were soft.
One reason, because he wanted to win.
Because he wanted to win.
That's it.
And they're all in a different category because of it. Every one of those guys are winners.
Every one of them.
Because of it. Guys that would have been fucking, let's face it, Luke Longley, fucking Bill Winnington, Bill Cartwright. These dudes,
yeah. I mean,
dude, they're good basketball players, but they weren't going to be at that level.
They're
not even fucking close, bro.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So it's just like everything comes back to just one thing, because I want to win. You know, and I think when you simplify things and they're so extreme, I think, because like you bring up in business, a lot of people demonize people. Oh,
they do 100%.
You're ruthless, but why is no one demonizes a basketball player? You know what I'm saying? Thing. But it's all competition, man. It's all competition.
Yeah. You know, I gotta be, I'm a person that just like my background, and there's certain kind of posters, or I wear certain articles of clothing, and I'm like motivated, like, dude, my J's, when I put them on, feel different right now. Not because I can jump higher, but because of what I've witnessed of the last 6 episodes. I'm telling you, I knew a lot of these things, but I forgot because it's been 20 years, Johnny. You know what I mean? Like, to reconfirm why he is the greatest. And why there's no fucking conversation. There's just no conversation. And I love LeBron, and I'm from Ohio, and there is no conversation. It is just that cut and dry. It is that cut and dry. It's just the truth. And I think we knew why there was no conversation.
Oh, I knew it the whole time.
This just confirms it even more. And once again, like I said, I feel motivated by wearing my J's because I know what they represent, and they represent what we're watching. And that to me is fucking awesome.
Honestly, coming from like Chicago, he probably makes me the most proud of being from there. Like literally, like just because he's so much bigger than
you feel like a winner.
You feel like you were part of something that very few people got to be a part of, and you were on that team. And if you were paying attention, it shaped part of you. So like you feel like the city at a certain time like got shaped by you could argue the best leader as well. Yeah. It's just cool.
Don't you think Boston probably feels that way too, with the whole Patriots run, Johnny, in a similar way?
I think Bill Belichick is, listen, what Tom Brady has done is amazing. I think Bill Belichick he is the Michael Jordan of the Patriots. I think Tom Brady, if you look at his number, obviously if you stack that all up, he's the best. He's the best. I don't know if Tom Brady's Tom Brady without Bill Belichick.
If he wins a championship in Tampa Bay, which it would be tough, but if he does, then does that change your perspective?
Yeah, I'm not taking anything away from Brady.
Yeah,
nothing.
Yeah, it's
he
impossible.
Works hard. But I just think when I see genius, listen, I don't got to like Belichick.
The system is unbelievable.
He's just a fucking genius, and listen. Phil Jackson, obviously, coach of the Bulls. To me, he's the best coach I've ever witnessed, and Phil Jackson isn't even close. And I feel bad saying that, but it's just that Phil Jackson was fantastic at managing egos and personalities, not so much X's and O's. Bill Belichick is just next. He's fucking Yoda. He's Yoda.
Yeah, Phil can't really ever get away from the fact that he had basically 2 Michael Jordan type of guys back to back. He just did, him and Kobe. I mean, it's just
and Shaq.
I mean, people forget how crazy Shaq was, Johnny. They forget. Well,
Shaq, I think I think Shaq's the best center ever.
most dominant. I mean, maybe I didn't. Obviously,
Will Chamberlain
There you
played
go.
against guys who was 6'5", were 6'5".
I
So
wish we
when-
could have watched Will, and I bet it was comical.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, but he's playing against guys who are 6'5". Shaq came in, with that size, and he'd get up and down the court just as fast as anybody, and he'd rip down a fucking backboard. He was unstoppable for a good 10 years. Like you couldn't stop him.
Literally couldn't stop him.
Hack a Shaq was the only strategy. He couldn't hit a free throw. So you would literally try to hack him every time he would just go up for a layup or a dunk. But you couldn't even stop him then because he was so powerful, and he would dunk it and won.
He's like a power lifter playing basketball. That was athletic as fuck. It was
with a wingspan of fucking 5,000 inches.
Yeah, it was unreal. So, all right, hey, that was fun talking about MJ. I mean, unbelievable. We'll wrap it up. Leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Of course, a positive comment. We'll have the Q&A show coming up on, we'll tape it on Friday. So if you have any questions, shoot them over to us on Instagram. And Johnny Fosco,
G,
can the podcast be stopped?
The podcast can't be
stopped. All right. 3, 2, 1. On this episode, we're going to talk about leverage points. Do you have leverage? How do you create leverage? Are you aware of leverage? It's a good show, Johnny.
Yeah. What is leverage?
There you
How do you get it? Regardless of if you're a business owner, if you work for a company, it doesn't matter. We all can attain it. There's certain ways. And then once you have it, how do you use it to advance yourself? Listen, this is complex stuff, but we spend a good amount of time on it.
Yeah, let's go to the show.